Let's bring in Dan Henninger from the Wall Street Journal, Fox News contributor and deputy editor of the Wall Street Journal editorial page, joins us now. Dan, good to see you. Momentum has been a big part of this race when it comes to Glenn Youngkin. You know, I just looked back at polling in September that showed education still much lower on the list as far as priorities in polling for the voters in that state. But my, how a few weeks changed everything, where that has become a central message, an essential issue in this race.
It absolutely.
And don't you love when that happens on live TV? We'll try to establish our connection again with Dan. Dan, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that the most interesting aspect of that is how poorly Terry McAuliffe responded to it. I mean, he made that remark about only talking to teachers, parents having no role. And, you know, I think the thing to understand about Terry McAuliffe is that he is basically a Clinton Democrat. He's not a Biden Democrat. He is not a progressive. And Terry McAuliffe has said any number of times that his biggest problem is what's coming out of Washington. He admits that. And so he has been really unable to run on the Build Back Better plan. It's not something he wants to bring up. I think most of the Democrats in Virginia could be described more as Clinton Democrats than Bernie Sanders Democrats. And so Terry McAuliffe really has no ideas to present to the people of Virginia other than that Glenn Youngkin is the second coming of Donald Trump. He has hammered that over and over again. And clearly, Sandra, Mr. Youngkin is manifestly not the second coming of Donald Trump. But it shows how desperate McAuliffe is that he has fallen back on that. And I think if Youngkin wins, one of the big questions coming out of this is not just whether he's a template for the Republican strategy going into the midterms, what will be the Democratic template? What are they going to run on if the Build Back Better plan is unpopular and all they've got is Donald Trump and it doesn't work for them in Virginia? They're really facing some serious headwinds.
All really good points. As we know, absolutely anything can happen as we still have hours to go to the polls close there. It's a live look at Virginia Beach as we have seen voters show up to cast their ballots throughout the morning there in Virginia. Meanwhile, your colleague in the Wall Street Journal, Bill McGurn, says this about McAuliffe's panic attacks. If Mr. McAuliffe loses on Tuesday, McGurn says, Democrats worried about 2022 will blame everything from Mr. Biden's sinking approval ratings to the blue suburban revolt against school boards. What they should be asking themselves is if accusations of racism and shouts of Trump are really a winning substitute for a positive Democratic agenda that has appealed beyond the Bernie Sanders wing of the party. Because when Bill and I spoke to Glenn Youngkin this morning, and I asked him what has made the difference for him these past couple of weeks, it has been, he said, to focus on the issues, to listen to the voters, because they are rising up, in particular, with the story on schools. He made his presence aware that he was listening to those parents.
He did indeed. And I think Bill McGurn raises an excellent point there about critical race theory.
Yeah.
Because if Terry McAuliffe is going to win, he's going to need strong turnout in the black areas of Virginia, Richmond, and so forth. And there's an awfully big question of whether black turnout is going to be strong for Terry McAuliffe. If it is strong, it would suggest that they have reacted in some way against what's going on up there in Loudoun County. But my suspicion, Sandra, is that black turnout is indeed going to be very tepid in Virginia, wow, suggesting that they are not animated by this issue of critical race theory and that the Democrats are going to have to come up with an alternative to that. So I just think that the enthusiasm level among Democrats in Virginia looks to be so low. And what else can you blame that on other than what's going on in Washington, which is all people are paying attention to right now?
Really interesting. The former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie was on this network earlier and weighed in on the race. Listen.
All the momentum is in Glenn Youngkin's direction. And I think if Youngkin wins tonight, what we're going to look back on and say is that the key moment of this campaign was when Terry McAuliffe told the truth. When he said that he didn't think parents should be involved in deciding what their children are learning. I think that our children's education is simply the most important issue going into 2022. And House candidates, Senate candidates, gubernatorial candidates for the Republican Party across the country should be forcing this issue.
It's such a good point, because if this turns out to be the winning issue for Youngkin there in Virginia, you fast forward to the midterm elections in 2022, and you wonder just how big this issue becomes at a national level. Final thought, Dan.
What's going on here with Terry McAuliffe and that education issue is directly related to the reality that the teachers' unions are a primary part of the Democratic base, and there is no way a Democratic candidate can get on the wrong side of the teachers' unions, which explains why McAuliffe puts himself in opposition to parents on this. Again, Democratic candidates are being put in an extremely difficult position because of their base right now, and the teachers' unions are a big part of that.
Great setup for all of us who will be watching closely tonight. Dan Henninger, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.